Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hi, I'm Olivia, and if you like true crime, creepy things, bizarre stories, I'm telling those every single week, so hit that subscribe button. Now let's get into the sordid tale of Sada Abe, whose case is one of the most bizarre and scandalous of the 20th century. Sada Abe was born in 1905, the seventh of eight children in an upper-middle-class family in Tokyo. Only four of the Abe children survived to adulthood, and of those, Sada was the youngest. So she was doted upon. Her mother encouraged Sada to take lessons in singing and playing the shamisen, both activities which at the time were more closely associated with geishas and sex workers. Her family wasn't perfect by any stretch. Her brother Shintaro stole money from their parents, and her father sent her sister Teruko to work in a brothel because he discovered she had several lovers, although she was eventually brought back. At the time in Japan, this wasn't an uncommon punishment for female sexual promiscuity. As the family problems over her siblings became more of an issue, Sada was often sent out of the house alone. She soon fell in with a bad group of teenagers. One of these acquaintances assaulted Sada when she was just 14 years old. Her parents initially supported and defended her, but as Sada grew more irresponsible and uncontrollable, her parents sold her to a geisha house in Yokohama in 1922. And there are conflicting reports. Her older sister said that Sada wanted to go to the geisha house, that she viewed geishas as glamorous celebrities, and from Sada herself saying she was sent there as a punishment for her promiscuity. Geishas are female entertainers who perform traditional Japanese art forms, such as traditional dance, poetry, flower arranging, musical instruments, and singing. They wear distinct clothing, hairstyles, and makeup. To become a true star among geisha required apprenticeship from childhood, with years spent training and studying music and arts. Sada was already older when she joined, so she never really progressed very far. And geishas are not sex workers. They are paid for entertaining usually wealthy clients, but because Sada lacked the years of training, she was a low-ranked geisha. So to make more money, she would engage in sex with her clients. She worked like this for 5 years before contracting syphilis, which at the time was treatable but not curable, so she was required to undergo regular physical examinations, the same requirement as a government licensed sex worker, which paid better. So she decided to switch careers and ended up in Osaka's famous Tobita brothel district, where she soon garnered a reputation as a troublemaker. She stole money from clients and attempted to leave the brothel several times, but was always tracked down and brought back. After 2 years, she eventually succeeded in escaping and began working as a waitress. However, she wasn't satisfied with the wages, so she was soon back to sex work, though now not legally, so she had to work in unlicensed brothels in Osaka. When her mom died in January of 1933, Sada moved back to Tokyo, and not long after, in 1934, her dad passed away. By that time, Sada had entered into the sex work market in Tokyo. In October of 1934, she was arrested in a police raid on an unlicensed brothel where she was working at the time. A well-connected friend of the brothel owners arranged for Sada's release and made her his mistress. He gave her a house and an income, but when he refused to leave his wife for her, their relationship ended. From there, she moved around trying out different jobs, eventually ending up back in Tokyo in 1936. Her lover at the time, Goro Omiya, who had aspirations of a political career, got her a job as an apprentice at a restaurant. The owner was Kichizou Ishida, who was known as a womanizer despite being married. He soon initiated a sexual relationship with Sada. They had a torrid love affair, disappearing for weeks at a time together. But soon Sada became agitated and began drinking excessively. She said she considered Ishida the first true love she ever had in her life, and that the thought of him back with his wife made her intensely jealous. This is when she began contemplating his murder. On May 9, 1936, she attended a play where a geisha attacks her lover with a large knife. Not long after, Sada went out and bought a large kitchen knife. The next time she saw Ishida, she threatened him with the knife, but rather than being scared, he saw the entire situation as amusing. Not long after, they went on a lover's getaway to an inn. They began experimenting with choking during sex, but gradually the erotic asphyxiation grew more intense. Ishida jokingly asked Sada to strangle him to death the next time because it hurt so much when she stopped. She understood he was joking, but she seemed to like the idea because on May 18th at around 2 a.m. while Ishida was sleeping, Sada wrapped her sash twice around his neck and strangled him to death. She later told police, "After I killed Ishida, I felt totally at ease, as though a heavy burden had been lifted from my shoulders, and I felt a sense of clarity." After lying with Ishida's body for a few hours, she proceeded to sever his penis and testicles with the kitchen knife, then wrap them in a magazine cover and keep them with her. She wrote in blood, "We, Sada and Kichizou Ishida, are alone," on Ishida's left thigh and on the bedsheet. Then she carved the character of her name into his left arm. She put on Ishida's underwear and at about 8 a.m. left the inn, telling the staff not to disturb Ishida. She then went and met up with her former lover, Goro Amiya. She repeatedly apologized to him, but because he was unaware of the murder, he thought she was apologizing for getting a new lover. In reality, she was apologizing for the damage to his political career and association with her was bound to cause, and she was right, his career was ruined. After Ishida's body was discovered, a search was launched for Sada. By May 19th, the newspapers had picked up on the story, and Sada became a media sensation. The ensuing frenzy over the search for her was called Abe Sada Panic. Police received reports of sightings of her from various cities. One false sighting nearly caused a stampede. While all this was going on the 19th, Sada went shopping and saw a movie. On the 20th, she checked into an inn under a false name where she got a massage and drank beer. And all the while, she had Ishida's genitals with her and was engaging in necrophilia. During the day, she wrote farewell letters to a friend and Ishida. Sada planned to commit suicide 1 week after the murder, saying she planned to jump off a mountain, but she never got the chance because at 4 p.m., detectives who had grown suspicious of the alias under which Sada had registered came to her room. When she spoke to them, she told them she was Sada Abe, but she was so calm police weren't convinced. So she displayed Ishida's genitals for them as proof. She was arrested and interrogated over 8 sessions. When asked why she severed Ishida's genitals, Sada replied, "Because I couldn't take his head or body with me. I wanted to take the part of him that brought back to me the most vivid memories." When asked why she killed him, she replied, "I loved him so much. I wanted him all to myself. But since we were not husband and wife, as long as he lived, he could be embraced by other women. I knew that if I killed him, no other woman could ever touch him again. So I killed him." After her arrest, Ishida's genitals were moved to Tokyo University Medical School's Pathology Museum, where they were put on public display after World War II, but have since disappeared. On December 21st, 1936, Sada was convicted of murder in the second degree and mutilation of a corpse. Though the prosecution demanded 10 years, and even though Sada claimed to have desired the death penalty, she was sentenced to just 6 years in prison. She didn't even serve all that. She got out almost 5 years to the day of the murder, on May 17, 1941. By then, she had become a well-known figure and a popular subject in literature. As an example of the dangers of unbridled female sexuality, a threat to the patriarchal system, as well as a critic of totalitarianism, and a symbol of freedom from oppressive political ideologies. Upon release from prison, she assumed an alias, but soon realized it would be almost impossible to live without being recognized, so she embraced her notoriety. She gave interviews for popular magazines, performed on stage, even wrote her own autobiography, Memoirs of Abe Sada, which was published in 1948. Then she led a low-profile life for the next 20 years in Tokyo before moving to the countryside to lead a quiet life. It's even rumored she joined a nunnery. But the last few years of her life remain a mystery. Even the date she died is unknown. And that is the crazy case of Sada Abe.